A few months ago, we moved into a new house and decided to do a full remodel on it. I promised my wife that I'd make a light fixture for the dining room and honestly never got around to it. So today we're finally going to do that. Let's get started. First I need to make the faux beam for the light fixture. I set the table saw at a 45-degree angle to cut the miters for all 4 sides of the box. I need to make sure that the board is flat against the table saw so the angle is correct and the glue up goes smoothly. To keep costs down, I used a 1x6 clear pine from the hardware store. To make it even cheaper, you can use knotty pine, but just make sure you get the boards that are straight and flat unless you have a joiner or a planer. Next, I'll cut the end pieces to cap the beam before I glue everything up. You really need to be accurate in this step, otherwise it's not going to fit up properly. I laid 3 of the pieces out and placed packing tape on the centerpiece. This helps keep the miters square when you glue it up. Normally I would lay them all down and tape them together, but these boards were a little warped, so I had to improvise a little bit. It's really important in this step to make sure that all the ends line up before you glue it. Otherwise, when you go to put the end caps in, they won't fit correctly. From here, you just need to spread the glue evenly on both sides of its miters and fold it together. Because these boards weren't straight, I ended up using a 23 gauge pin nailer and some clamps to hold everything in place while it dried. The nails don't have any heads on them, so once they get filled, you won't even notice that they're there. Here I'm just measuring the ends to make the final cut on the end caps to make sure that they fit on all sides so that when we go to put the top piece on, it fits perfectly. I'm leaving the top off so that I can drill all the holes I need and to wire it all up so that the box conceals all the internal wiring. I definitely didn't get a good square glue up, so I had to use some clamps to pull the top of the box together to get a seamless edge. After the glue dried overnight, it was time to get started wiring everything up. I used the components from a light fixture off Amazon. If you're interested in making this yourself, I put a link down in the description below. I started off by marking the spacing of my holes for each cord to come out of. I made sure to choose a drill bit that the wire fit through, but wasn't too snug. Although I've been in construction for half my life, I'm definitely not a licensed electrician, so if you've never worked with wiring, make sure to consult with someone who knows what they're doing. After pulling the wires through, I started by wiring the neutral wire in series down to the box, followed by the hot wire. Before closing everything up, I wired it up to an old light switch to make sure everything was working properly. To add some peace of mind, I put some heat shrink tubing over the wire nuts to make sure it stays secure and prevent any shorts down the line. I used some electrical tape to tie all the wires together, that way they weren't banging around inside the light fixture, and it kind of helps separate the wire nuts just to make sure that they didn't interfere with each other. I made sure to test the lights one more time before closing everything up. Everything was pretty warped, so I had to use a couple clamps again just to get everything square before screwing it together. Since the wood's so thin, I made sure to pre-drill all my holes before screwing it down. I'm using some trim screws instead of glue so that if I need to fix anything down the line, I still have access to everything. I used some 180 grit sandpaper to prep for the stain, making sure to get all the glue off the face of the beam, otherwise the stain wouldn't absorb into it. Here I'm using a microfiber cloth to get all the sanding dust off before applying the pre-stain. When staining the pine, the pre-stain's super important, otherwise it'll turn out with a bunch of dark splotches on it. I wanted to match the stain to a dining table that I made, which is a brown base with a gray wash over the top. I applied the brown stain first, making sure to wipe off any excess before flipping it. I went in right after with a gray wash and wiped it off immediately on each side. After the stain dried, I applied 3 coats of satin polyacrylic to help protect it from fading and make it easier to clean the dust off down the line. I needed to make some metal brackets to hold the light to the chain. I started by cutting a couple pieces of 2-inch flat bar and marking where the bends needed to go. I took the angle grinder and cut a groove in the back, making the bending super easy and to make a clean curve. Normally I'd weld up the corners, but since this will only be supporting about 20 pounds, it really wasn't that big of a deal. I cut the ends off to the height that I wanted it at, then I drilled holes for the chain to mount to and a couple of holes on each side so that I could screw the bracket to the beam. I made sure to degrease the metal and then went in with some black spray paint and let that dry for a few hours before touching them. After they were dry, I fit them up, making sure that they were symmetrical and screwed them in with some short 3/4 inch screws. I added some chain to the brackets using some black decorative chain that I found at the hardware store. The stuff was rated for 35 pounds, so it was plenty for what I was using it for. Once the chain was all hooked up, I hung it up in the shop and used a blow dryer to heat up the cords and wrap them around the beam, alternating which side the light went on. I tested it one last time, and then all that was left was to hang it and wire it up. And this is how it turned out. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see what's up next. See you next time.